In tonight's Small Business Spotlight, we turn to someone who's using his business experience in a run for Congress in New Mexico's 1st District. Joining me now is Republican candidate Jon Barela. John, good to see you. First question, what's a nice guy like you doing in a nasty business like politics? How'd you get into this?
Well, I think it's an important midterm election. You know, we've got to get and pursue policies that are business-friendly, that create jobs. And it's with that spirit that I'll be running for Congress in the last 3 weeks, trying to highlight how we go about the business of turning around the economy, creating jobs. And it's important to have small business people, those from the business sector, running for office.
It is important, but I got to ask you, John, we started this episode of Scoreboard with Carl Palladino. Now, maybe it's not as nasty in New Mexico as it is here in New York, but have you been surprised at how many below-the-belt blows there are?
Oh, it's been very, very true. The most recent attack was me accusing me of being a lobbyist for China, which is it's actually laughable, but I've never been to China, never lobbied for China. So it's an interesting process that I'm going through, but you're right, there have been a number of low blows thrown at me already, but we'll punch back, and we'll punch back hard with facts.
All right, right now, your opponent, Martin Heinrich, who we're looking at pictures of, is up 48 to 41%. That's the most recent poll I have. What's gaining most traction with the voters right now in your race against him?
Well, other polls show it much, much closer. Matter of fact, in the same poll, it's 44-44 with most likely voters or likely voters. But the issue in New Mexico, it is around the country, is about jobs, the economy, debt and deficit. All of those issues interrelate with one another. How are we going to get this economy moving again? That's what's on the minds of voters in this congressional district. Now,
your opponent has voted in favor of a lot of things I suspect you would have voted against, including cap and trade. He was in favor of that. He was in favor of the $825 billion stimulus package, and on and on. Are you making it about his record, or are you talking about what you will do in office?
Both. It is about his record. He has a 97% voting record with Nancy Pelosi, 100% on those major issues. He voted for more debt. He voted for a cumulative total of $1.2 trillion worth of stimulus. You're right, he voted for cap and trade. He voted for the health care bill, was even to the left of his party in supporting a robust public option in the health care bill. There will be a very, very clear choice in this election about his big government, higher tax, more regulatory, environmental philosophies, and mine, which really focuses on allowing the business sector, the private sector, the risk takers, the entrepreneurs to lead us out of this economy. And that's the philosophy that I'm going to pursue in Washington.
You mentioned jobs. I know your neighbors in Arizona have an unemployment rate of something like 14%, which is way above the even high national average. Is it similar in New Mexico?
New Mexico's unemployment numbers reflect the national numbers, very high, close to double digits here in New Mexico. Underemployment, again, reflects the national average, and that's really the tragic number. 17% of Americans, 17.1% who are underemployed in this economy. That's just tragic. It's got to stop.
And is it just a matter of cutting regulations, the regulations that built up? Because if so, we have a whole slew of new regulations we're going to have to overturn that have been imposed over the past couple of years.
Well, David, I'm absolutely convinced there are billions, trillions of dollars sitting on the sideline, but this legislative agenda that my opponent, Mr. Heinrich, and Ms. Pelosi have been pursuing, and this administration, has created an air of uncertainty, unpredictability, whether it's through the legislative process or the regulatory process. The health care bill is a perfect example. This health care bill, 2,700 pages long, and about 4,000 pages more of regulations that are being promulgated as we speak. It's hard to get people to want to invest in this economy when there's so much unpredictability and uncertainty that exists in this economy today. We've got to create an air of confidence with the investors, with the risk takers, with the entrepreneurs and small businesses to create jobs. Get off their back. Let's go about the business of creating jobs in the private sector and expanding the tax base for this country.
Jon Barela. Jon, thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Thank you for having me, David. I sure appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Coming up on deck,